Welcome to the Rich Eisen Show, one of my favorite actors. And I'm not just saying that because he's kind enough to zoom in support of his show, American Rust, that premieres on Sunday, September 12th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Showtime. The Emmy Award winner, Jeff Daniels, here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, sir?
I'm good. You?
I'm doing very well. I'm just, because this is a radio audience as well, I need to describe what I'm seeing. There seems to be a lot of string guitars behind you right there. What am I seeing behind you? Where are you zooming in from, Jeff? What is this?
Some actors prefer cocaine. I went with acoustic guitars, and it's I've got too many of them. I got a lot of Martins, 20s, 30s, 40s, and I love them. I play, and so that's been my kind of fetish, if you will. So there they are right behind me. Can we have some sort of contest, like guess how many jelly beans are in the jar? I mean,
it strikes me as, would that be about 25 string instruments behind you, Jeff? What would I say?
Can see, yes. And there are other places where a few more. I probably, by the end of it, have like 30, 35. My son is a musician and has a band, and so he's got a few. And so we have this kind of home recording studio where we store everything and work out of. And it's great. They're like old friends that you've had for years. You just hang them on the wall, and then when you're gone, hand them to your kid.
So this being, I guess, the fodder of a show in which there's a lot of sports talk and pop culture talk, I'll kind of put this in the phraseology of a show like this one. Your greatest guitar player of all time, what would your Mount Rushmore be? If I had put the four up there, Jeff Daniels.
Oh, well, there's electric, and I really love Joe Bonamassa a lot, and yet just for I just love Joe. There are people like Buddy Guy. Mm-hmm. Then you get into the acoustic players like Stefan Grossman and John Fahey and John Renbourn. Stefan and John Renbourn would do albums together. I remember hearing those in the 70s. Doc Watson was somebody I heard and said, how does he do what he does? And tried to emulate some of that flat picking that he does. Those are just a few. There's a new guy named Kerry Morin out of Colorado.
Okay.
Native American guy, just great. Can sit on a stage with an acoustic guitar, and that's all he needs. Kelly Joe Phelps.
You're going deep track on me here, Jeff.
I'm telling you, it's the acoustic guys that can sit there with just that acoustic, and you're transfixed for 100 minutes. That's hard to do, and I've been fortunate to see some of these guys live. Kev Moe's another one, Will Kimbrough's another one. So, yeah.
Jeff Daniels here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so what's the adjective you use to describe the Detroit Lions season coming up and how you view it, Jeff Daniels? What do you got for me on that?
Blind faith. Once again. I know Jared Goff had some trouble in L.A., I'd like to think it was a bad marriage with the coach, Sean McVay, but the year before he was in the Super Bowl.
It's true.
He somehow got him to the Super Bowl, and maybe different playbook, different coaching staff. You got to go in with that. It's which Jared Goff are we going to get? And I know Sheila Hamp Ford. I know her well, Sheila Ford Hamp, and she's all business. This is she went in there and started, throwing people out the window, and I loved it. And it may take her more than a season, to get respectable, but we could go 17 games. We could go 2-15, or we could go 500, or we could get in the playoffs. We just don't know. And so that's, I wish Stafford the best in LA.
Right.
Maybe he's got a team that's closer to the playoffs out there than in Detroit. But I thought it was a wonderful parting of the ways. Stafford, I think, went to Sheila and company and just said, mutually beneficial. Feel free to trade me, and feel free to move me, and preferably to a contender, which he would have had to approve. So I think that was handled really well, and We've got a lot of running backs. I mean, you know more about football than I
No,
do.
sure.
I'm
I,
hopeful. I'm
I wonder
hopeful.
what you think of the coach. Did you hear Dan Campbell's opening press conference when he talked about biting off
I
kneecaps and things
did.
like
Yes.
that? What'd you think of that,
Yes.
Jeff Daniels? What'd you think of that?
Well, he's either again, blind faith.
Certainly.
So when you lead off with biting of kneecaps, you got to think, well, he's either a genius who can motivate players, being an ex-player, and he's speaking their language, or he's a complete idiot. I don't. I'm I am hopeful. I love it's such a change. He's sticking his chin out onto the field just like the players. So I'm hoping that, and he's got some real good people around him. Brad Holmes, I really like, the whole scouting history I think that Brad has. He knows talent. I just like the mix. And if biting kneecaps speaks to the players and gets them motivated, bite some more,
I had him on the show a couple months ago, and he had a good sense of humor about it, talking about I brought up the rare Hannibal Lecter way of motivating your team. It's
Sure.
very, very rare that you bring in the Silence of the Lambs, to a situation like that. But we'll see how it all works out.
I think Dan was just talking about eating kneecaps. I think that's all. I don't think there was a movie reference in there at all. I think it was just let's go cannibalism on him. I don't know. But whatever it was, I hope it works. And if it works, and if we're in the playoffs, he's a genius.
Keep biting. I know. Jeff Daniels here on the Rich Eisen Show. American Rust. You get to choose what you want to do. I'm sure this must have intrigued you. Maura Tierney and Bill Camp and an excellent cast, including you, in this drama, in which you're playing a town chief of police in the Rust Belt in Pennsylvania. What attracted you to this role, Jeff?
I drove by Heinz Field every day on the way to work, so there was that. The Steelers home, and went to a Pirates game. That was great.
Okay.
I love Pittsburgh, and I know these people. I grew up in Michigan. I am working class. I worked at my dad's lumber company. It really is about those people in the corner of the country who, much like in Detroit, when the car companies left, a lot of factories went to Mexico and China. Same thing happened in Pittsburgh in the 80s with the steel industry. And these people got left behind. And they're good people. And they're decent people. And they just want to break. One break. And they're staring at the bottom. And they end up doing bad things in order to survive. And those people are out there. And as entertainment goes, I love the storytelling. It's unpredictable. You don't know. You can stop every episode and go, what happens next? And you'll be wrong. And it just builds and builds and builds. And we got really good people on this. It's not much different than what the Lions are doing or any NFL team, where you bring in the front office staff and the coaching staff. You get really good people who have a history of succeeding at what they do. And you get them on your project like American Rust, and then you get out of their way and you let them go. And that's kind of how this went. I think it's really strong. And if people are looking for that drama where you don't know what happens next, this is it.
And again, it starts Sunday, September 12th on Showtime at 10 p.m. Eastern time. In the minutes I have remaining with you, Jeff Daniels, there's a game we like to play with our celebrity guests called Celebrity True or False, where you set the record straight on some of the things that wind up on Wikipedia and some of the other spaces of the internet. So if you wouldn't mind playing along, I have a few items for you to set the record straight on, if you don't mind, Jeff Daniels.
Can't wait.
Okay. I believe you. I believe you when you say that.
Celebrity True or False.
You can't handle the truth.
First item up for bids is that you were up for the role of Joey Gladstone in Full House that went to Dave Coulier. Is that true or false?
False.
That is false. See,
Yeah.
There's not even a germ of truth to something like that.
Not even a germ. And Dave Coulier, he's back in Detroit. He's got a house in Detroit now. We're good friends, and we could pass for not only brothers but twins.
Okay. Okay. Speaking of passing for brothers, the movie Dumb and Dumber. The studio did not want you for it, but Jim Carrey did. So they lowballed you an offer thinking you would say no, but you took it. Is that true or false?
True.
What did you like about that movie? What made you, Jim?
Jim Carrey. He had Ace Ventura had been out, big hit, and he had shot Mask, and it hadn't been released yet when we started shooting. So I wanted to go into comedy. I've been doing drama, and I was kind of spinning my wheels, and so I said, let me do that. I went up to LA and chased some jobs, and Dumb and Dumber was one of them. Auditioned, I went back for a callback, read with Jim. And Jim and the Farrelly brothers wanted me, and the studio wanted, a comedian, basically. And so they gave me the first week to shoot, and where we shot a lot of my stuff, the snowball in the head, the tongue on the pole, the skis inside the ski lodge, Harry Dunn scenes. And they cut them together on the end of the first week, and they liked what they saw, and I got to stay.
And is it true that your representation thought you were nuts for wanting to do that as well? That's another aspect.
They thought it was a huge mistake, and we're going to start. It was an intervention the night before I was supposed to fly out to LA to do Dumb and Dumber. We're going to stop this. This is not who you are. You're a serious actor, and this will ruin your career. And I hate to tell you, Jeff, but he's going to act you off the screen. So I said, well, one, thanks for the support. Two, he's not in the snowball in the head scene. He's not on the tongue in the pole scene, and he's not in the toilet scene. So those are all mine. So unless they cut those out of the movie, I'm going to score. And then the next trick was to let Jim lead. Jim is going to be Jim, and you want Jim to be Jim. You want all of that. So don't compete with that. Be the puppy on the leash. Let him jerk the leash. And that put me on a half-second delay, which allowed me to play an IQ of 8. Because Jim, as Lloyd, he would go, Harry. And I'd go, what? It's just like you're on a half second because you're just, your brain doesn't work that fast when he calls your name. So then we were in. We were gold. And Jim's a friend to this day. I love the guy.
So to this very day, Jim Carrey's a friend of yours. I love that.
Yeah, I was, last couple of weeks I've been in communication. Yeah.
That's great. All right. I've got a couple more for you here. You did not think Speed would be successful during filming, but once you saw the final cut, you were in on Speed, thinking that this was going to work out, that film.
Speed, yeah.
Ish?
Probably true. Yes.
Okay.
True.
What was Dennis? I mean, shoot, we all know about terms of endearment with Nicholson. What was Dennis Hopper like? Were you around him? Were in many scenes with him?
He was great. He was very nice, picking up a check, as I was. And I mean, it's Keanu and it's Sandra Bullock in a bus, and you're back at headquarters going, what's going on? This is not a career move. This is, I need a job move. And the script I need a job. And they said, well, there's this movie called Speed. And they sent me the script, and I died on page 22 in the elevator shaft. I didn't even get out of the elevator shaft. And I said, look, the career's in trouble, but it's not in that much trouble. Pass. And they go, whoa, hang on. There's a new draft coming and you die later. So that's, yeah, okay, page 88. And then, I go into the house and the house blows up.
Well, right outside our studio is the 105 freeway. And I think about Speed every single time I leave the Rich Eisen Show studio, because
they shut down the freeway.
That wasn't even open yet, right? Wasn't that freeway? I don't even think that freeway was open yet. That was the first ever usage of the 105 freeway.
That's probably true. It was probably just before it opened, and it was empty, and Keanu got to drive the bus on it. Yeah.
Last one for you. You were playing Keith Olbermann as the role of Will McAvoy in the great show Newsroom. Yes, true or false? No? Yea or nay?
False. Keith thinks that. Keith actually told me we were at Stephen Colbert's final show on Comedy Central. And there's Keith Olbermann. And he comes up to me. He goes, you're playing me, aren't you? I said, Keith, God bless you, but no. I mean, maybe Sorkin used you. I don't know, but we never talked about it. He never said, by the way, you're doing Keith. No, it was never brought up. If anything, I did a couple of Brian Williams moves.
Which one?
Brian has a thing where he puts the elbow down and his other arm goes straight out and he kind of leans. That was my one thing. And everything else was made up. It was news to me that Keith was so attached to it.
I got to be honest with you. I worked with Keith for many a moon back in my Sports Center days. It did seem on occasion like there were some KO moments on that front. But now that you mentioned the anchor lean of Brian Williams, I mean, that is like a geographic perfect sort of right triangle that he creates with his body and the rest of his.
It's beautiful. Someone should paint it. Yeah.
Jeff Daniels, I really appreciate the time going down memory lane, talking about American Rust again this Sunday, September 12th, 10 p.m. Eastern time on Showtime. Good luck to the Honolulu Blue. The Old English D with the Tigers looks to be on a nice upward trend, actually, and best of luck on all of that.
Thanks, Rich. Always a pleasure.
Right back at you. That's Jeff Daniels right here on the Rich Eisen Show.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.